Hello guys and gals, and welcome! Today we are going to be doing unique armors. This is the, sixth episode in the episode of our unique items. And, we are going to go over every single piece of armor from the first piece of armor that you can possibly get in the game, which is the Greyform quilted armor, all the way to the last armor in the game that you could get, which is the Duriels Might. So there are a lot of armors to go over. I think it's something like 30 or 40. I'm not even sure anymore. And, we're going to talk about each one in order, and we're going to say a little bit about them, what I think, maybe you could use them on for character-wise, what strengths and what weaknesses they have, whether that's a piece of garbage or not. And I'm very much the kind of player who likes collecting uniques and who likes finding uses for them. So if I say a piece of armor is garbage, it probably really is, because I'm going to be very, very relaxed in my definition. So without further ado, we're going to get started with the Greyform quilted armor. And as you can see, everything has a socket in it because all armors can be socketed. If you see more than one socket, it probably means that it comes with a socket. All right, so first off, we have 5% lifesteal, 31 defense, plus 20 defense on there, 10 dexterity, 20 cold resist, 20 fire resist, and magic damage reduced by 3. At level 7, the Greyform quilted armor is definitely a very nice piece of armor. You're not really going to find anything at level 7, rare-wise, that's going to come even close to this. You just won't. So if you happen to have a Greyform quilted armor for low-level characters, would be great to throw on those low levels until you can put something better on them. Nothing really stands out except for the 5% lifesteal. Other than that, it just has pretty boring stats. So early on at level 7, you can grab yourself some lifesteal by putting on the Greyform quilted armor. There is no variation on this piece of equipment except for the base defense. So everyone you find is going to be a perfect Greyform quilted armor. Next on our list is the Blinkbats Form. The Blinkbats Form has 10% faster run walk, 39 defense, 40% faster hit recovery, which 40% faster hit recovery at level 12 is amazing. It's really going to help you out in terms of recovering from hits and being able to still dish out damage in return. 3 to 6 fire damage, which isn't much, but at level 12 it could be helpful. 25 to defense, 50 defense versus missile, which defense versus missile is pretty garbage of a stat, but in relation to level 12, 50 defense versus missile might actually be quite helpful. As for variation on this armor, there is none. Only the base defense varies. Next is the Centurion Hard Leather Armor. The Centurion Hard Leather Armor is level 14 and has some fairly decent stats, a lot of them anyway. And 54 armor, 50 to attack rating, which at level 14 could come in handy, 30 defense, 15 to life, 6 to replenish life, 15 to mana, 15 to max stamina, 25% slower stamina drain, damage reduced by 2. Just an all-around nice little armor for a low-level character. Not something that you would wear late game or, once you've found something better. But, think about the fact that most characters have stamina issues until around level 20, 25, and you got 25% slower stamina drain there, 15 extra stamina. Also gives you 15 mana and 15 life, so that's pretty nice. And then replenish life plus 5 at level 14 is actually going to be kind of useful. And then the 50 to attack rating, that's actually a lot of attack rating for level 14. So, as a low-level armor, the Centurion Hard Leather Armor definitely would come in handy for a melee class or, honestly, just about any class. And moving on, because there's no variation on this armor to talk about. The next armor is the Twitchthroe Studded Leather Armor, which has 20% increased attack speed, which is amazing for level 16, 20% faster hit recovery, and 25% increased chance of blocking. So very nice on the, the IAS, the FHR, and the ICB. A nice little buff there to all of those stats. And of course it gives strength and dexterity, which dexterity is also going to increase your block rate. So, you're looking at a fairly nice piece of equipment for any character who's going to be in the thick of it. At level 16, it's not going to be the greatest piece of armor in the world, but you could easily work this into a Tankazon build. You could easily work this into a Zeal Paladin build, a Barbarian who's getting in there in the thick of it. Maybe a Barbarian wouldn't necessarily need the blocking chance. But pretty much any character that has blocking and is going to get hit on a regular basis, a very nice piece of armor for them. All right, so next on the list we have, oh yes, no variation on this armor as either, except for the base defense. Next on the list we have the Darkglow Ringmail. Now the Darkglow Ringmail is a rather interesting one, and you'll see why. So it has 98 defense, which isn't amazing, but it has 20 to attack rating, 100% enhanced defense, 50 defense versus missile, 5% to maximum poison resist, 5% to maximum cold resist, 5% to maximum lightning resist, and 5% to maximum fire resist, as well as all resistances plus 10. So if you were to put this piece of armor on and you could manage to get the resistances from other pieces of gear, this would actually increase your cap of 75% to resistances to 80% to all resistances, and then it even comes in with a nice plus 10 to all resist as well to help you out. Now, it's just an amazing piece of gear all around because you can actually use this well into Nightmare if you want to, as long as you are keeping your resistances capped. Now, if you're having trouble keeping your resistances capped, this one isn't going to help you because all that plus to max resistances isn't going to do you any good if you can't get to the cap. So don't put this piece of equipment on if you're not at or near the cap so that you can actually benefit from all these plus 5% to maximums. And, you know, just keep in mind that it's not a piece of gear that's going to help you unless you are already, you know, approaching the cap point. It might be a good piece of equipment to tag along with like an Ancient's Pledge shield. You know, that way you have a buku amount of resistances coming from your Ancient Pledge, and then you got your 5% extra on these, and you could probably mix them together with maybe like some Hotspur boots or something for the plus 15% max resist. You know, a couple other things, and maybe you'd be rocking like 95% max resistances. You know, and that's up to you. If you can manage to get 95% to all your max resistances and still do decent amount of damage, then why not? There is no variation on this piece of armor except for the defense. Next is the Hawkmail Scale Mail, which is one of my favorites because, like the Darkglow Ringmail, this one is specifically cold resist. So this one gives you 15 to maximum cold resist and 15 to your cold resistance, as well as cannot be frozen, which is a very good early cannot be frozen item. You will not find cannot be frozen on a lot of items this low. Level 15, this is probably the first time you're going to get a cannot be frozen item. And it also makes your character green, which I always thought was kind of cool, as you can see. Some of the items do have effects like that, like the Centurion armor will make your character look red. And, you know, in Diablo II Resurrected, though, you will actually see an effect. So what they have promised is that the armor, the unique looking armors, the ones that really had like a special graphic, are going to change the way your character looks completely. So like, you know, if the armor has like Silks of Victor has this like really awesome looking graphic to it, it's going to change the way your character looks a lot. And as we go through the armors here, you know, I'll put them on so that you can kind of see how they make the character look. Every armor has a different look, and of course if they're colored, they also make your character that particular color. Like the Heavenly Garb makes your character blue. You know, the Boneflesh makes your character this sort of like you know, kind of like bronzy gold sort of color, and so forth and so on. All right, so we're talking about Hawkmail. Hawkmail also gives you 10% faster run walk, which is interesting. So it's 122 defense, 10% faster walk, 100% enhanced defense, 15% maximum cold, 15 to cold resist, and cannot be frozen. And of course, you can throw a socket in there if you want to. You know, it's not a bad idea to socket some of these low-level uniques and then throw a really good gem in them. Just make sure you're not bringing up the required level too much, because these armors have a very restricted usefulness, and if you're bringing the level up too high, then you might as well be using something else. You know what I mean? So Hawkmail, very good on a lot of characters early on, especially when you go fight Duriel. Duriel has Holy Freeze, and he also does lots of cold damage, so having that max of cold and cold resist can definitely be very helpful versus him. All right, so moving on to our next armor, we have the Venom Ward. The Venom Ward is one you might want to give your character before he leaves Act 1, because it is completely poison resistant. But, it's required level 20. So, it's a little difficult for your character to put this on when he's fighting Andariel. Although, if you happen to find this one, it might be a good one to keep around when you go to Nightmare Andariel. Just put it on when you fight her and take it off afterwards. Because as you can see, it has 138 defense, 100% enhanced defense, 15 to maximum poison resist plus 90%, as well as poison length reduced by 50%. So a very good piece of armor for any type of poison-related situation. Maybe keep one around just in case you're fighting a rabies druid in PvP. There is very little variation on this. The only variation is the defense itself, which does have a fairly large variance between 60 and 100. Next on the list is the Sparkling Mail. I always loved the way this one looked. Just an amazingly pretty armor. And the Sparkling Mail Chainmail. I used to make chainmail, by the way. Have my own. This necklace I have on right here is actually one that I created. And this one. I made both of these. Except for the key. I didn't make the key. That was a gift from my girlfriend. She said it was the key to her heart. I never take it off. So Sparkling Mail, 140 defense, adds 1 to 20 lightning damage, 85% enhanced defense, lightning resist 30, and attacker takes damage of 11. Not exactly the most amazing piece of armor, but if you find it around level 17, it might be something that you want to put on. Lightning resist plus 30% isn't anything to shake a stick at, so I mean, it'll be helpful at the very least. It's going to be better than a lot of rare items that you find, and you could throw a socket in it, and you can make it a little better. Next on the list is the Blink Mail. By the way, there's pretty much no variation on the Sparkling Mail. They're going to be all pretty much identical. The Iceblink is an interesting armor because it was very notorious back in Classic, because it was one of the few armors that gave a really good effect, and people built entire characters around them. And unfortunately, they nerfed it in Lord of Destruction. The problem is that in Classic, it gave you a freezes target bonus, and when you hit a target, the target froze. Well, they decided that was too good of a thing, so in Lord of Destruction, they made the freeze target work a little differently. So instead, it's like it adds freeze target to your attack in like increments, and each item will add more or less. So it doesn't really work as well as it used to. If I pull up freezes target here. Freeze is a form of crowd control in Diablo 2. It is more potent, or in manner of speaking, extreme variant of chill. The idea is that the target is frozen solid, unable to move, trapped inside the icy tomb, able to do nothing, but watch their enemy approaching with doubtless intention to shatter the frozen victim into pieces. The frozen target is blue in color and paralyzed completely, and if they die from a freezing attack or die before the freeze wears off, they will shatter into pieces, leaving no corpse behind. This is especially useful when fighting monsters that can be resurrected. The frozen victim may not attack, move, or cast spells. Act bosses, super unique monsters, champions, and other players cannot be frozen. They will instead be chilled. Some items in-game have half freeze duration or cannot be frozen, and cold resistance reduces the duration of any freeze effect. Some monsters, including frozen horrors, are entirely immune to freeze. Now, it says here that chance of freeze/chill is a 50 plus attacker level plus B times 4 minus defender's level times 5, and then percentage. It's a whole little formula. But basically how they changed it was they made it into like a duration. And every single item that you have that has freezes target adds to that duration and makes it longer. In Lord of Destruction, they also added a lot of freeze resistances and immunities and half freeze durations and quarter freeze durations and stuff like that. So it made things a little more difficult. But Iceblink Mail still retains its freezes target benefit, which is very nice. And as you can see, Iceblink is 172 defense, freezes target, 80% enhanced defense, cold resistance 30, magic damage reduced by 1, and plus 4 to light radius. So it doesn't have a lot going on for it except for that freezes target. I do remember building a Whirlwind Barbarian with freezes target. That was pretty fun. And it's only level 22, and it's fun to play around with. You can pretty much put that freezes target on any character. You know, it could be good on a Fend Amazon, a Zeal Paladin, a Fury Druid. You know, just the ability to freeze a target solid makes it a lot easier to kill them. Obviously, as I was just reading, it does not work on, you know, bosses and super uniques and whatnot. So there's that. Next on our list is the Heavenly Garb Light Plate. The Heavenly Garb Light Plate is level 29, so it is a lot higher on the you know, level requirement for the normal pieces. And it has 50% damage to undead, 100 to attack rating to undead, which is very PVM stats. 100% enhanced defense, 15 to energy, regenerate mana 25%, and all resistances 10. It's not the most amazing plate in the world, but it does have 41 strength requirement. So if you happen to be going with a build that is a very low strength requirement build, it's not terrible, and it would be good on like a sorceress or something like that with the regenerate mana and the all resistances and the 15 to energy. You know, but of course you can use this on any character that you want. Does it stand out in any specific way, which makes it amazing? Not really, you know, but it's one of those pieces of armor that if you find it, you might end up using it. Next on the list is the Boneflesh Plate Mail. Paul actually gave me one of these on US East Ladder Softcore. He said it reminded him of me. Not really sure what that means. Maybe it's the beard. Yes. So, Boneflesh Plate Mail has 257 defense, 35 to attack rating, 5% lifesteal, 25% chance of open wounds, and 120% enhanced defense. It has next to no variation besides the defense, and it's a decent little armor with the lifesteal on it. It could come in handy for a melee character. Nice defense, chance of open wounds, which is good to prevent regeneration although it only lasts for about 8 seconds, so, you know. And of course you can throw a socket in there if you want to. Very little variation except for the defense. And Heavenly Garb also has very little variation except for the defense. And Iceblink has very little variation except for the defense. I forgot to say that. And last for this character, actually, hold on. I have one more. That's right, I have one more. This is the next armor, which is Rockfleece. Rockfleece is 243 defense, 130% enhanced defense, 5 to strength, damage reduced by 10%, which is a very nice stat, damage reduced by flat 5, and then requirements negative 10%. So as you can see, it's for sort of a very tanky armor for any character who's in the thick of it and getting hit by melee attacks on a regular basis. You're basically going to reduce anybody's damage by 10%. So, you know, if somebody had 100 damage and they hit you, they would only be doing 90. And then it also reduces their damage by a flat 5, which at level 28 is actually kind of useful. So then you're talking about 90 reduced by 5, which is going to be 85. So basically all damage coming in is going to be reduced by 10% and then also reduced by 5 flat points, which, you know, could come in handy. If I found it, I would probably use it. But, you know, later on, if I found something better, I would probably put that on instead. There are some much better pieces of equipment that have damage reduced by, so you don't necessarily need to get it from a Rockfleece. Of course, you can also socket this and throw some gems in there or runes and make it a little bit better. All right, and last on my mercenary, we have the Rattlecage Gothic Plate. Now, the Rockfleece, by the way, has very little variation except for the defense. All right, so Rattlecage Gothic Plate is an interesting one. It has 335 defense, 45 to attack rating, 25% chance of crushing blow. Hit causes monster to flee, 40%, and 200 defense. So it has a very nice stat on there, which is 25% chance of crushing blow, but it also has kind of a stupid stat on there, which is hit causes monster to flee. I would assume that maybe you would put this on a like a bow Amazon or a throwing barbarian, someone who can take advantage of the crushing blow, albeit at a much diminished capacity, and who would need the ability to cause monsters to run away. Now, granted, you could also just simply put this on a character so you have more crushing blow. You know, you could tag this along with some Goblin Toe light boots for like the 25%. Then you'd be looking at 50, and then you could tag along something like you know, a crush flange mace in one hand or something, and that would get you another I think it's like 33% for that. So you'd be looking at what, 50 plus 30, which is what, 83%. So it's just a pretty high percentage. it just depends on how you want to build your character. Rattlecage is certainly an interesting choice because it has two kind of conflicting things there, the crushing blow and then the hit causes monster to flee. So if you can remedy that into your character and make it work, then why not? I always found hit causes monster to flee to be very annoying on a melee character, but on a ranged character, it's not so annoying because you're actually using that to keep yourself alive. And then of course it has that attack rating on there, so it kind of makes sense for a melee or ranged character. There is no variation on this at all except for the base defense. All right, so for the next part, I got to go to another character. Look at this. Yes, more armors. More and more and more and more. Yes, I have gone insane. All right, so next on the list is the Goldskin Full Plate Mail. The Goldskin Full Plate Mail is 405 defense, 150% enhanced defense, all resistances plus 35, attacker takes damage of 10, 100% extra gold for monsters, and plus 2 to light radius. So we've got some fairly nice stats here. It does have all resistances 35, which is very nice. It does have a fairly nice amount of defense as well at 405. So for a normal armor, you're looking at a fairly defensive plate. You've got very good resistances, very good defense, and other than that, you really don't have a whole lot more. Maybe if you're making one of those magic find / gold find barbs, 100% extra gold for monsters would be nice. There's no variation on this except for the base defense. So find one. It's probably going to be pretty good. Next on the list is one of the most notorious armors. It is the Silks of the Victor, affectionately known as Silks. Most people wouldn't call it Silks of the Victor. And it has very nice defense because it is a ancient armor, so the highest tier of normal. It has +1 to all skills, 514 defense, 5% mana stolen per hit, 120% enhanced defense, and +2 to light radius. Now, this was a very common one to see on Classic. It was something that was very sought after. Everyone always wanted a Silks of the Victor. You'd put it on just about anybody, from necromancers to sorceresses to paladins to whoever needed plus to skills. This was a very good item, and with the 5% mana steal, you could avoid having to have mana steal on your gear. Of course, it doesn't really have a lot more going for it other than the +1 to skills, the mana steal, and the defense. There's no resistances on it, so you're probably going to want to throw a socket in there and try and get some other effects on the Silks of Victor. There are pretty much no variations on this one either other than the defense. All right, next on our list is the Spirit Shroud Armor, the first of the Nightmare variants. The Nightmare variants came out with Lord of Destruction, I believe. So that's why I was talking about how this was very popular in Classic, and then they come out with this one, and people are like, oh, well, we don't need that one, we can get this one. And, this is also low level. Same level, much lower strength requirement, has a little bit different stats, so no mana steal, though. All right, so the Spirit Shroud Ghost Armor is 295 defense, +1 to all skills, 150% enhanced defense, replenish life +10, magic damage reduced by 11, and cannot be frozen. The magic damage varies from 7 to 11, and the defense varies a little bit, but that's literally it. You're going to find these practically perfect. Obviously, as a +1 to all skills, there's a lot of people who could get a lot of use out of this. The magic damage reduced by 11 is actually pretty nice. Magic damage is hard to get reduction for, and 11 is a pretty high number. And replenish life +10, I wouldn't say no to it. All right, so moving on, we have the next armor on the list, which is Skin of the Vipermagi, Serpent Skin armor. This one is also a +1 to all skills, but it has 30% faster cast rate. So in this situation, you'd be looking at this for a sorceress, a hurricane druid, a bone spear necromancer, pretty much anybody who needs +1 to all skills and faster cast rate. And if you notice, it also has 35 to all resistances there, so very, very sweet. This is definitely an armor that you're going to grab and probably put on most caster type characters for quite some time until you find something way, way, way better. And you're probably going to socket it, and you're probably going to put something good in there. What are you going to put in there? I don't know. It's going to depend on your character. Next on the list is the Skin of the Flayed One Demon Hide armor. And oh yes, the main thing that varies on the skin of the Vipermagi is the all resistances. It varies from 20 to 35. So a perfect skin of the Vipermagi would be a 35 all resist. All right, so the skin of the Flayed one is 397 defense, 7% lifesteal, 190% enhanced defense, replenish life plus 25, which is a lot. Attacker takes damage of 15, repairs durability in 10 seconds. So because it has the repairs 1 durability in 10 seconds, that means that you can actually get this as an ethereal version. So if you happen to find an ethereal skin of the Flayed one, it's going to be a very high defense, very sweet armor. It has 7% lifesteal on it. It has, you know, this pretty amazing defense. So if you manage to get a nice ethereal one, it's probably going to be closer to like 800 defense. And, you know, lifesteal with the replenished life and all that could come in handy at level 31. Depends on what kind of character you are. Obviously, with lifesteal on it, you would think that it would be more in the melee or ranged category. So, you know, it's up to you. Next on the list, we have the Iron Pelt armor. I always forget to talk about the variations. So this one varies by defense. It also varies by lifesteal, and the replenished life also varies as well. So it can be 5 to 7 lifesteal, 15 to 25 replenished life, and of course, defense has a pretty large variance. All right, so Iron Pelt, trellised armor, 100% enhanced defense, 3 defense based on character level. So this one is actually 3 per level. I'm level 1 right now, so obviously pretty low. You know, at level 99, you're talking about like 290 defense, 90-ish, and you know, at level 50 you're talking about 150 defense, etc. It has 25 to life, damage reduced by 20, which is a fairly large number, but now we're getting into like level 33 range, so you're in Nightmare, and it doesn't really have that much of an effect. Magic damage reduced by 16, which is also very nice. This armor I'm not really so sure about. It doesn't really have a lot of like good, like what I would consider to be really good stats. I mean, it's a decent armor, don't get me wrong, but it's not fulfilling any specific purpose. It's not giving you lifesteal, it's not giving you damage reduction, it's not giving you faster cast or faster hit recovery, it's not giving you IAS. You know, it's not doing a lot of anything that you'd actually need. So, you know, if you just happen to have this and you didn't have anything else to put on, it would probably be a good armor. But as soon as you found something else, like maybe a Ghost, you know, Spirit Shroud, or a Soaks of Victor, or a Skin of the Vipermagi, or even a Skin of the Flayed one, might be better than an Iron Pelt. As for variation on this, the damage reduced by and the magic reduced by and the defense all vary, which means that you can find a pretty crappy Iron Pelt. All right, next on our list is the Crowcaw Tigulated Mail. This armor has 534 defense, 15% increased attack speed, 15% faster recovery, 35% chance of open wounds, and 180% enhanced defense, as well as 15 to dexterity. None of the stats vary except for the defense, and I could see an argument for using this on a character because of the IAS, the faster hit recovery, and the chance of open wounds. You know, it basically gives you 3 very nice stats there, although it's not the greatest percentages. 15 and 15. I mean, I feel like it could be 20. Would be, if it was 20-20, it would be a little bit better. And chance of open wounds isn't the greatest skill in the world. It's just something that helps prevent monster regeneration. It really depends on your level. So open wounds does more damage the higher level you are. At level 37, I don't think it does the greatest damage. And as for variations, there pretty much is none except for the defense. All right, next on the list is the Spirit Forged Linked Mail. The Spirit Forged Linked Mail is 449 defense. Adds 20 to 65 fire damage, 160% enhanced defense, 15 to strength. It has plus 1.25 life per level for a maximum of 123 life at level 99. It has fire resist 5%, which is just weird. 4 to life and 3 sockets. So a very interesting piece of equipment that you could throw some very nice gems or runes into. Nothing spectacular on the armor that's really going to make you go like, wow. But, you know, if you could customize it specifically to how you want it, then maybe it could be useful. As for variation on this, there practically is none except for the enhanced defense. Next on the list is the Duriels Shell. Duriels Shell is 610 defense, 200% enhanced defense, plus 1 defense per level, which is 1.25 life per level and 1 defense per level up to 99. So 99 defense and 123 defense at level 99. 15 to strength, cold resist 50%, of course, because Duriel has that sweet cold damage. Lightning resist 20, fire resist 20, poison resist 20, and cannot be frozen. As for variation on this armor, the only variation on this armor is the defense. And of course, you can put one socket into it. Next on the list is the Shaftstop Mesh armor. Shaftstop Mesh armor is 684 defense, 220% enhanced defense, 250 defense versus missile, which at level 38, I don't even think you really need that anymore. 60 life, damage reduced by 30%. Now, that is probably the most useful statistic on this piece of armor, bar none. So if you wanted to build a damage reduction setup, Shaftstop Mesh armor is going to help you get closer to that 50% cap. So the cap on damage reduction is 50%. Keep that in mind when you are looking at this piece of equipment. But yes, it doesn't have the best stats in the world. There's not a lot going on for it, but it does have 60 to life and damage reduction 30. So if you were to build this into your gear, you would only need 20% more to hit that 50% cap. And if you were a assassin, for instance, assassins use Fade, and Fade at level 20 actually gives you 20% damage reduction. So 20% damage reduction plus the 30% on here is going to stack to 50. And of course, there are other ways you can get damage reduction, like the belts and helmets that we were talking about earlier, like Rockstopper Saleh, or you know, there's a whole bunch of belts that give damage reduction as well, and you can stack those to get your physical DR up to 50%. So very nice piece of equipment all around. There's very little variation on this except for the defense. All right, next on the list is a piece of armor that I found randomly while I was doing my introduction to Sorceress, is the Sculptors Eye Russet Armor. The Sculptors Eye Russet Armor is +1 to all skills, 200% enhanced defense, magic damage reduced by 10. Repairs durability 1 in 5 seconds, which makes it a very nice ethereal find. If you can find an ethereal Sculptor's Eye, it's going to boost up that defense even higher, and it's going to make it practically godlike. The chance of getting better magic items, it varies by your level of 1.25 per character level up to 123% at max level. So at level 99, it's a very nice piece of armor for magic find. At level 42, when you first put it on, maybe not so great. But of course, +1 to all skills with magic find, just really sweet. And then the defense on it is amazing too. So with the magic damage reduced by 10, it's very helpful. All right, so next on the list is the Que-Hegan's Wisdom. So Que-Hegan's Wisdom, as you can see, it's +1 to all skills as well, with 20% faster cast rate, 20% faster hit recovery, 160% enhanced defense, 15 to energy, magic damage reduced by 10, and +3 to mana after each kill. As a +1 to all skills, it's definitely useful to a lot of people, but the 20% faster cast rate makes you assume that it's built specifically for casters. And 20% faster hit recovery is always nice to have. The variation on this armor is very little. It has basically just a defense variation and the magic damage reduced by variation of 6 to 10. Level 51 with only a 55 strength requirement, it's definitely going to be nice for some of those characters that are not building into strength for weapons and bows. So basically, sorceresses, bone necromancers, elemental druids, that sort of thing. And then last on this character, we have the Guardian Angel Templar coat. Actually, did I bring a merc? I might have brought a merc. This coat has 825 defense, +1 to paladin skill levels, 30% faster block rate, 20% increased chance of blocking. It has +2 attack rating per level, which is 2.5 per character level, from 2 to 247. So a fairly nice boost to your attack rating there at level 99. It has 200% enhanced defense, 15 to maximum poison resist, 15 to maximum cold resist, 15% to maximum lightning resist, and 15% to maximum fire. So this would be a excellent piece of armor for a paladin who's trying to make himself nigh unkillable. If you were to tack this along with maximum resistances and somehow work in 50% physical damage reduction as well, you would be looking at a extremely tanky paladin, especially since it also includes 30% faster block rate and 20% increased chance of blocking. So you're going to be blocking really good. You're going to be, when you do get hit, you're going to be taking a lot less elemental damage. And just in general, very, very sweet. I would definitely socket this and throw something nice in there. If you happen to find an ethereal one, socket it and throw a Zod in there. You know, there may be better pieces of armor later on in the game, but a very nice one for paladins nonetheless, especially those that are melee. All right, so next on our list, oh, by the way, as far as variations are concerned, Templar, Guardian Angel Templar code has very little. It's just the base, the defense. So we have Atmas Whale, 30% faster hit recovery, 882 defense, 160% enhanced defense, plus 2 defense per character level up to 198, so it's 2 per character level, and 15 to dexterity, replenish life plus 10, increases maximum mana 15%, and 20% chance of better magic items. It's a very mixed bag of a plate. Increased maximum mana seems like a caster thing. And then, of course, you have faster hit recovery, which is something you would definitely want on a melee character. And, you know, it has fairly very nice defense, but it has a very high strength requirement. So this, it almost seems like this is for a character that uses mana, but still fights in melee, which I'm not really sure what that would be. Maybe an energy shield sorceress who's using a melee weapon? A very mixed bag of a piece of equipment. Let's move on to the next set of items. All right, so next on the list is the Twitchthroe Shark Tooth Armor, and I did these out of order, unfortunately. Makes me mad. My OCD is kicking in hard. So this one is 40% chance of open wounds. Very nice, like I said, for countering regen. 220% enhanced defense, 60 defense, 10 to strength, fire resist 15%, and attacker takes damage of 40. 888 defense there. Variations on this are pretty high. It varies on the percentage defense from 160 to 220. It varies on the plus defense 40 to 60. It varies on the base defense. So there's a whole lot of like defense variation here, which means that you could get a really crappy shark tooth armor Twitchthroe, and you can get a very good defense Twitchthroe armor. As far as stats go, it's really like a lackluster piece. If I was level 48, I would hope that I would have something better than a Twitchthroe armor by now. All right, next on the list is the Black Hades. Black Hades is 1,029 defense with 60% damage to demons, 250 attack rating against demons, 200% enhanced defense, half freeze duration, -2 light radius, and has 3 sockets. So as you can see there, a very PVM armor with the damage to demons and attack rating to demons. And the damage to demons actually varies between 30 to 60%. And the attack rating against demons also varies 200 to 250. So even though it does have very good damage against demons, I'm not really sure it would be my first pick for anything. If I did happen to find one and I had like 3 really good runes to put in it to make it, you know, a lot better piece of armor, then perhaps, you know, as far as the defense is concerned, it's through the roof at 1,000. So it's definitely going to keep some monsters from being able to hit you. Not really sure what character I would put it on, though. Next piece of armor is the Corpse-Morn Ornate Plate. So this is the last of the Nightmare version armors. This one is 1,262 defense with 170 strength requirement. So not a lot of characters are going to be using this unless they are building strength. 6% chance to cast level 2 Iron Maiden when struck. Very, very nice for low levels, but unfortunately in hell it's not going to do you very good. 12 to 36 fire damage, 180% enhanced defense, 8 to strength, 10 to vitality, 35% to cold resist, and level 5 corpse explosion charges. Now, corpse explosion is very useful no matter what difficulty. So, you know, that's actually fairly cool. As long as you can recharge that, I could totally see people using that in actual combat. Because Corpse Explosion does 70% to 120% of the monster's health in damage. So basically you would just kill a couple monsters and just start spamming your little Corpse Explosions. You know, I'd probably save them for a situation where I really needed them, but if you had the stuff to recharge it on a regular basis, I could totally see that being viable. Variation on this piece of armor, the defense varies. So pretty much just the defense on here. Nothing else. All right. So first of our Hell unique armors. All right. So the first one on the Hell unique list is actually a weird one. All right. So we're going to have to go over this, and you'll see why. So the Ormus's Robe's Dusk Shroud has 482 defense, 77 strength requirement, and requires level 75, so it's a very high level piece. 20% faster cast rate, 15% to cold skill damage, which varies from 10 to 15, 15% lightning skill damage, which again varies from 10 to 15, and 15% fire skill damage, which again varies from 10 to 15. And then it has 20 to defense and regenerates mana 15%, which varies also 10 to 15. And then you see this +3 to Blizzard here, and it's a little confusing because it makes you think that this armor has +3 to Blizzard, but it doesn't. When you find this armor, it gets 3 to a random sorceress skill. So it doesn't really have a specific skill. It can be just about anything. And that +3 will always be +3, but it will always be +3 to a random skill. Whatever it is, it'll be +3 to something, and chances are you'll be disappointed. But hold on to it because you might find somebody who actually wants it. And a very interesting set of robes. If you find one that actually has the skill that you are particularly working on and has good, lightning skill, fire skill, and cold skill damage, perhaps, it could come in handy. Not 100% sure on that. I was also theorizing that it says here that the random skill can be any sorcerer's skill except for Fire Mastery, Hydra, Lightning Mastery, Frozen Orb, and Cold Mastery. So it cannot be any of the masteries, it cannot be Frozen Orb, and it cannot be Hydra. I was thinking this actually could be fairly useful if you were to make a sorceress based off of Enchant. Because it gives fire skill damage, and then you could also build the other 2 masteries and build elemental damage as well. But I don't know. I think it would be kind of hard to find one of these that was in any good shape. With all the variations on this, chances are whatever one you find is not going to be perfect or anywhere near perfect. So next on the list, we have the Gladiators Bane Wire Fleece. So level 85 with a strength requirement of 111. Has 1,496 defense. Very, very sweet. 30% faster hit recovery, 200% enhanced defense, 50 to defense. Damage reduced by 20. Magic damage reduced by 20. Cannot be frozen. Poison damage reduced by 50%, and attacker takes damage of 20. A lot of 20s going on there. 20, 20, 20. Just like the year. Oh no. Now I'm flashbacks. No, seriously, 2020 was awful. And, it's an interesting armor. As far as the variations are concerned, it varies. Damage reduced by can be 15 to 20. Magic damage reduced by can be 15 to 20. The defense varies quite a bit between 150 to 200%. It's an interesting piece of armor, but I don't know how many people would be using this at cap, at level 85. I mean, it does have cannot be frozen, and it does have poison length reduced by, and it does have 30% faster hit recovery, so those are kind of nice. And then the magic damage reduced by isn't awful. Attacker takes damage of 20 is awful. It's a pretty garbage stat. I mean, I guess if you need raw defense, it certainly seems like an interesting way to get it. And I assume if you found an ethereal one and threw a Zod in there, it would be through the roof as far as defense was concerned. So, I mean, I'm not sure about that. Moving on. The next piece of armor we have is the Arcane's Valor, Balrog Skin. Now, this was actually one that I traded for, and this is going to be my personal sad story. I traded quite a few Soges for this back in the day when Lord of Destruction first came out, and Lord of Destruction was plagued with duping. And somebody, I guess, had duped my Balrog skin because the next time I logged in, my Balrog skin was missing, and pretty much everything that I had traded for from that guy was missing. They were just gone, and my character wasn't wearing them anymore. And everything else that I had on, all my other gear, everything else in my stash was still there. So, I would assume that if somebody had hacked into my account to steal my stuff, they would have stolen everything, not just one piece of armor. And the other pieces of gear that he traded me. And I was very sad because my paladin was he was a very vitality build paladin. I had minimized my my strength, my dexterity, and my energy to basically near zero, or as close to zero as I could get it, so that I could still put on all my equipment. And I had, I had lots of plus to health and plus to strength gear and whatnot, and everything else was just dumped into vitality. And this was my way to get my character's health even higher, because it has this vitality based on character's level, and my paladin was level 99. So anyway, let's go over this armor. Arcane's Valor Bulwark Skin, 1,450, strength requirement 165, level 85 requirement, +2 to all skills, 30% faster hit recovery, 180% enhanced defense, and then it has 0.5 vitality per character level, up to 49 at level 99. 30% faster hit recovery, which is amazing with a +2 to all skills, and then damage reduced by 10 to 15. The variation on this is actually pretty important, because the +1 to all skills and +2 to all skills varies. So it could be 1 or it could be 2. So 1, 2, 2 plus to all skills. 1, 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, 1, 2, 2. It's funny sounding. A very nice piece of armor, though, if you happen to find one, especially for any character that wants lots and lots of HP, and it is in the thick of it all the time. Something that I would definitely use if I was beasting up my vitality. All right, so next on the list, we have the Rockfleece, or sorry, not Rockfleece, that's the Nightmare version. The Kraken Shell, the Leviathan. Oh yeah, and the Bulwark Skin makes you, oh no, I can't use it, no. I was going to say it makes your character look real pretty. The Leviathan Kraken Shell is 1,722 defense. It is indestructible, so very nice to find an ethereal version. 200% enhanced defense, 150 defense, 50 to strength, and damage reduced by 25%. So there we go with that damage reduced by again. So we have a very nice damage reduced by number there, 25%. Not as good as the 30% on the other piece, but this one in particular, you could find an ethereal version, and you could throw a gem in there, something nice. Doesn't have to be Azad, obviously, because it's already indestructible. And you have a very nice defense piece. Probably the center defense piece for your entire get up. I mean, this would probably give you enough defense where you wouldn't even need defense from any of the other pieces, and you could just build them for their stats. Variation on this is the damage reduced by can vary between 15 to 25%, and this is actually ladder only, I believe. The defense can vary between 100 to 150. The strength can vary between 40 to 50. And also the enhanced defense varies as well. So you're definitely going to find some crappy versions of this, and then some very nice versions. The damage reduced by is really the only stat there that matters the most, though. So if you find a 25% damage reduced by, and it happens to be ethereal, you found something really nice. Next on the list is the Steel Carapace Shadow Plate. This has 1,785 defense, 8% chance to cast level 6 Iron Maiden when struck, 20% faster hit recovery, 220% enhanced defense, regenerates mana 15%, cold resist 60%, damage reduced by 14, and repairs durability 1 in 20 seconds. Again, a nice piece to find ethereal. You can also put a socket in there and make it into something more interesting. It's not really the most interesting piece of armor. It doesn't have like a unique stat like damage reduced by, or faster cast rate, or plus to all skills. But it does have faster hit recovery at least, and regenerate mana 15%. Not really sure about this one, whether I would work it into a piece of gear or a character or not. Maybe if it was ethereal, because it would have way more defense. It could just be like I was talking about earlier, just the centerpiece to keep my character from from being hit all the time. And then next on the list is Templars Might. Templars Might is a sacred armor with +2 to offensive auras, paladin only, 20% faster hit recovery, 220% enhanced defense, 300 defense versus missile, which is a lot, 15 to strength, 15 to vitality, 50 to maximum stamina, and it comes in at 1,923 defense. A very interesting piece of armor. +2 to offensive auras would definitely be useful to a paladin. Not as useful as +2 to all skills, but I'm sure you could work it into a build, somehow. And then last but not least is Duriels Might. Duriels Might is a sacred armor as well, so there are two different sacred armors. And it is blue, so it's going to turn your character blue. 1,502 defense, required strength level 464. Absolutely ridiculous. Oh, wait, hold on. Somebody messed with this. Yes, somebody messed with this piece of armor. They accidentally changed the requirements negative 100% into requirements plus 100%. Look at that silly person. See if I can fix that real quick. I don't know if I fixed it, but let's take a look. There we go. Requirements negative 100%. Alright, so it has 1,502 defense, required level 84, indestructible, 20% faster run walk, 100% damage to demons, slain monsters rest at peace, 150% enhanced defense, 30 to strength, all resistances plus 30, cannot be frozen, and requirements negative 100%. For variation on this, we have a variation between 120 and 150% enhanced defense. We have a variation of 50 to 100% damage done to demons. We have a variation of 20 to 30 on the strength and a variation of 20 to 30 on all resists. So this one can vary by quite a bit. It is indestructible, so finding an ethereal Tyrios Might would be like hitting the jackpot. And of course you can throw a socket in there and make it even better. The defense on this, I'm assuming if it was ethereal, would be through the freaking roof. You know, as always with a lot of these higher level armors, making them ethereal and then also having indestructibility or repairs durability, that sort of thing it'll just make you nigh unhittable. When you go over here and you look at your defense, it'll tell you what your percent chance is for someone to hit you, and it might be very, very low when you're wearing an ethereal Duriels Might or an ethereal Kraken Shell. All right, well, that pretty much covers it for all of the unique armors. I'm surprised I was able to get through all that. And I hope my editing isn't too horrible. Down in the description, you will find a link to my Magic Find video where you can actually learn how to find all these armors. I go through the process of telling you everything about the, the treasure class, the TC, the Q level of the items, where you can possibly find the items, how the area levels work, the monster levels, how much Magic Find you would require to start to find these kind of things. I go over how Magic Find works, pretty much everything you need to know. So, if you're interested in finding any of these armors, if you're having trouble, take a look at my Magic Find video, go through that, and you'll be able to find them. It's just going to take a little bit of time. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Unique Armors. The next episode is probably going to be Unique Shields, by the way. And then I'm going to have to tackle weapons, and weapons is going to be a monster because there are so many weapons in Diablo 2. And then I'm also going to have to do class items, which I may or may not work into weapons. I'm not sure, because I've already worked in quite a few of the class items into the helmets. And then the shields, there's also going to be quite a few class items. Shields for the paladin, and I'm not sure. We'll figure it out. Anyway, thanks for watching.
He's a little booty. He's a little booty, like, that's a cute little booty.